let's get to this Steelers-Bengals preview. For this one, I got 3 keys to victory. And it's really not complicated. It's not. We got the Steelers. We're sitting at 8-3. Should be 9-2. Should have beat the Browns on Thursday Night Football, but I digress. Against the Bengals, who are 4-7, I think they are a better team than what their record indicates. There's been a lot of games that have come down to the wire against good teams. I mean, the Ravens, both their Ravens games, man, really came down to the wire. It came down to 2-point conversions, or at least the one was a 2-point conversion. I can't remember the other one. Some missed field goals by McPherson has cost them. But Burrow, he's playing lights out. He really is. That offense, something to worry about. And that's why I kind of think they are a better team than the 4-7 record. I think they can play with any team. They go toe-to-toe with any team. As reference in these Ravens games, it's not like the Bengals are getting blown out or anything. No, it was back and forth game. They went back and forth with the Chiefs, a shady defensive pass interference call. Helped the Chiefs, I think, get out of that stadium with a win. So, yeah, Chargers, even last week, or what was it, 2 weeks ago or something, against the Chargers. That one, back and forth. Chargers were up double digits. Chargers were up big, but Bengals came storming back, tied the game. But, again, they found a way to lose. McPherson missed a field goal, and Bengals couldn't close it out. That's been the story of their season. So, my first key to this game for the Steelers' victory is a TJ Watt renaissance. And it's sad that I have to put that phrase together, put those words together. TJ Watt and a renaissance. You say the name TJ Watt, you're just thinking the best defensive player of the league, the guy that is at the peak of his powers. There's just no debate that he is the top dog. But this year, it hasn't hit the same with TJ. It hasn't. 7.5 sacks in 13 games, 13 tackles for loss, which is top 4 in the league. 4 forced fumbles. That's the best in the league. And 3 pass deflections. That's still a good year. That's still, you're making the Pro Bowl. You might even be first team All-Pro because some of the other edge rushers in the league aren't going off or doing anything crazy. He might get first team All-Pro with what he's doing thus far. At least second team All-Pro. But it's still not the TJ Watt that we're used to. You know it when you see it, man. You know when you see it. It's TJ absolutely changing a game, absolutely dominating a game. And he's done that in the past against the Bengals. 12 sacks in 13 games, 5 forced fumbles, 2 picks as a 10-3 record when he plays against the Bengals. So this is the opportunity for a TJ Watt renaissance. This is the time for TJ Watt to get back to being TJ Watt. Because the Bengals O-line is not good. Burrow is one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league. He's one of the most hit quarterbacks in the league. And TJ, he could change a game, man. He really can. And I think that's what this defense is going to need. Because whenever you look at the Bengals offense, Burrow is having the best season of his career. Even though the Bengals are 4-7. He's lighting it up. Jamar Chase, probably the best season of his career too. Top receiver in terms of stats right now. I know you could argue between like him and Justin Jefferson, who is the best, who would you take? But statistically, he's the best right now, Jamar Chase. And they also have T. Higgins that just got back from injury, and he's picking up where he's left off his first few seasons of his career. 400-something yards in 6 games. So you got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Burrow playing lights out. Chase Brown, I don't think is a bad running back. Mike Gesicki, probably the best tight end that Burrow's had in a minute. So, they have weapons. They can score in 3 plays, 4 plays. They could score with the best of them in this league. So, if there ever is a time for TJ Watt to wreck a game and make it hard on Joe Burrow and make it hard for these Bengals receivers to be getting the ball because Burrow doesn't have time, it's the moment, man. It's a great opportunity for TJ because the Bengals O-line ain't that. Burrow is the one elevating. Burrow is the one that's overcoming their bad offensive line and making plays. So the opportunity is going to be there. We just got to capitalize, I feel like. I mean, Amarius Mims going up against TJ Watt, a rookie going up against TJ Watt, and a rookie that he's been a little sketchy this year. It's time, bro. It's time to get back to what we know you are. Joe Burrow said on TJ, just this offseason, he was asked about the impact TJ Watt has on these games and how Burrow has to play him differently than any other edge rusher in the league. He said, there's no other lineman I have to treat like a DB. I have to be conscious about where he's at because he's going to jump up and catch it. And there's nobody else that can do that. And you notice our defense has been a little bit up and down this year. Hasn't been that top quality that we thought it was going to be. Hasn't been top 3. Hasn't been a bona fide top 5 defense. We did to start, and that's when TJ Watt was playing good. So I think part of the reason why we've been giving up these weird drives, we've been having some weird moments as a defense is because TJ hasn't been as dominant as what he usually is. Because when TJ is playing like the decoy, it can mask a lot for some of our other issues on defense. So I think that's why over the last 4 or 5 weeks, there's been a little bit more to be desired with our defense. Because TJ Watt just hasn't been TJ Watt. It helps the secondary. It helps the line. It helps everyone when TJ Watt is able to get after the quarterback and wreak havoc and cause chaos. He hasn't been able to do that, but that's why he gets paid he gets paid the big bucks to do that. That's why we're expecting that from him. That's why, even though he's having a good season, it's a little bit of a disappointment. Like the 7.5 sacks in 13 games, the 13 tackles for loss, the 4 forced fumbles, the 3 pass deflections. That doesn't feel like the $30 million we're paying TJ Watt to be. Now, granted, I think over the last couple seasons, he's been outplaying his contract, which I thought would be an impossibility. But yeah, I think that's how it could change the game. I think TJ Watt, being the baller that he is and being the top dog, whenever he's doing that could be like a 7-10 point swing. Because I can envision if TJ Watt has a traditional game against the Bengals, let's say 2 sacks, 2.5 sacks, forced fumble, pass deflection or 2. If he's game wrecking, that means the Bengals may only be putting up like 17, 20 points. And our defense looks awesome. But if we're just seeing like half a sack or just like a couple tackles for loss, then Bengals might be putting up 30 points and our offense got to figure out a way to win this in a shootout. Like, I think that's the type of difference TJ Watt makes. Like, he could make a game be a 7 or 10 point swing, really, just with how the game flow goes and how it plays out. So we need him, man. Like, I think that's the first key. Bengals offense is good, and TJ Watt's the type of guy that can literally change the game. Minka's one of those type of dudes too, and he's played good against the Bengals in the past, but we're paying TJ Watt a little bit more money than Minka Fitzpatrick. I think the expectations are a little bit higher for TJ Watt than Minka Fitzpatrick, even though the expectations are still high for Minka. And Minka ain't playing bad, but it's kind of the same conversation that we're having with TJ Watt. He ain't the old Minka. When's that guy going to come out? Hopefully it's this game. Hopefully it's this game for both TJ Watt and Minka Fitzpatrick, because I think it's going to make a huge difference, or could make a huge difference in how our defense plays against this Bengals offense. It could either be like if TJ Watt and Minka play good and they have a vintage performance, it could mean we're holding the Bengals to under 20 points and Burrow's throwing multiple interceptions like he did a couple years ago. Remember week 1 a couple years ago? He threw 5 picks. So here's the TJ. Here's the Minka. Hopefully revitalizing some of that old spark, some of their old game. Next, second key to victory for the Steelers. Steeler football. And it kind of goes hand in hand what I was talking about with our defense against the Bengals offense, because we got a tough task with Burrow playing the way he is, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. So another way to, I think, negate the Bengals offense is for our offense to keep them off the field, which shouldn't be a problem. It definitely shouldn't be. Bengals defense has been trash this year, whether you're talking about run defense or pass defense. I don't know what cornerback on this roster is going to be able to match up with Pickens. I don't know what cornerbacks should be able to match up with. Honestly, like if you're just talking about the passing game with Mike Williams, if we actually get Mike Williams snaps, or even a Calvin Austin in the slot. Mike Hilton, like we know he's a good slot corner, but he's more of a run defender as opposed to being prominent in that the passing game, the pass defense. He can get cooked. He can get routed up. And then especially if you have a taller guy on him, just throw it up. Mike Hilton's 5'8". So there's really not I think I like every matchup for us when you're talking about the passing game, but I don't think we need to pass the ball at that high of a clip. We should be able to run the ball, which will, again, help our defense stay off the field. We'll be able to control the clock, keep our defense rested, try to keep Burrow and that Bengals offense out of rhythm. So I think the first priority is like Steeler football. And we know what that is, ground and pound, be physical. But that can't open up things in the passing game. And I don't think we're going to be hesitant to be taking shots. But I think first priority is run the ball. And then, yeah, we'll have our 5 or 6 explosive plays or 5 or 6 explosive chances, which, again, we should be able to capitalize on because the Bengals secondary really ain't that. And hell, if we want to get Darnell Washington and Freiermuth involved, I like their matchup in the passing game too against a Jermaine Pratt, a Logan Wilson. They shouldn't be able to cover those guys. Not at all. Like, they're good players. We've gone up against them. We're familiar with them, but they've gotten up there in age. I don't think their game's at their peak right now. I don't think any of those linebackers for the Bengals are in their prime. They're starting to be more on the downswing. Whereas Freiermuth, he's in his prime. Darnell Washington, he's just hitting his prime. He should be hitting his prime here soon, going into year 3 next year. But year 2, we see the impact that he's even having in the passing game with some of these PA rollouts and Russ finding him, getting him the ball. Our offense should have no problems against this Bengals defense. And I think we can, if we slow play it a little bit, if we run the ball and really focus on controlling the clock and helping out the defense, then I think it just bodes well for our chances to winning this game, which I think we'll do. We're going to be smart about this. We're not going to just be taking shots and trying to air it out immediately here and make it be one of these shootout games. I think we're going to try to set the tone by running the ball. And my last key to victory, special teams. Who would have thought? Who would have thought when I started doing podcasting and talking about sports, I would actually bring up special teams as a key for the Steelers' victory? But I think it is, man. I mean, not only does Danny Smith have something up his sleeve, it seems like game in and game out, whether it's a punt block, whether it's a punt fake, a field goal block, just doing something out of the ordinary where you're just like, man, we look prepared. We did something right in preparation for this game. There's some type of splash play, it feels like, that's being made from this special teams unit game in and game out. And I think with us not having one last week, right? We didn't have one last week. We're due. So we're due here. But then you look at just the kicking situation. We got Chris Boswell. They got Evan McPherson. You would have said like 2-3 years ago they were on the same level. But as time has gone on, Evan McPherson has been getting way more inconsistent, way more erratic. He's a guy I don't think you can really trust late in the games or on a 50-plus yard field goal because he's missing a fair amount and he's costing the Bengals in these games, whereas it's the opposite with Chris Boswell. I think he's taken another step up. You got guys like Tucker, too, another kicker in the division, another kicker that has been considered the best in the league and definitely, bare minimum, one of the best in the league for a really long time. He's been slipping. So, like, Boswell, it is a factor, I feel like, in these games. Not only just our ability to do stuff in special teams outside of kicking field goals with the punt blocks, the field goal blocks, all that type of stuff. But just the kicker to kicker matchup straight up, I like our advantage there too. I feel like it can be an edge. It can be an X factor in this game. Say Boz goes 3 of 3, 2 of 2, and McPherson goes like 1 of 3 or 2 of 3, something like that. That could be the thing that enables the Steelers to come out of this stadium on the road with a victory. So watch out for special teams, man. Could be a factor in this one. Yeah, I think that's it, man. My prediction, I could see it going 2 ways, but I think it comes down to the same final score. Let me explain. The final score is going to be, what did I say? I think it's like 31. Is it like 31-28? 31-27? We win. It either comes down to us being in control most of the game, offense having our way with the Bengals defense, We're putting up points. We're running the ball. Najee, Jalen Warren have an awesome day. Each one of them scores a touchdown. Russ has his moments throwing the ball down the field. He has a couple touchdowns going off the play action. See some one-on-ones with Pickens, or hopefully Mike Williams has a one-on-one on the outside too if we actually give him some snaps. Russ takes advantage of the passing game or the Bengals' poor pass defense. He gets his shots. He gets his explosive plays. Like, I think it's just an overall good offensive performance. We're in control, and yeah, maybe TJ does some stuff. TJ gets a forced fumble. We get it. We get a pick or something, and it's like, I don't know. It's like 31-20, 31-17. And the Bengals try to fight back a little bit. Maybe they get a garbage time touchdown. And it's a little interesting. It comes down to an onside kick, but ultimately we still get out of there with a win, 31-28. Or it's almost like the Commanders game. We come out slow. Bengals get off to a hot start. Bengals, it feels like they're a little bit more in control. They get up double digits. They get up a touchdown. They get up 10 points. You're at some point in the second half. And then Russ starts cooking. Russ starts to lead the charge back like he did in the Browns game, like he did in the Commanders game. So let's not act like Russ is incapable of doing that. We've seen it how many times throughout his career, and we've seen it a couple times already with him in a Steeler uniform. And he leads the charge. Defense feeds off that momentum. We score in back-to-back series down the stretch in the fourth quarter, a couple touchdowns. And, we get out of the stadium by the skin of our teeth. Same thing, 31-20. It could be that type of path. It could be the path that I previously said, but I think it still comes down to that final score of 31-28, whether it's us trying to come back or us trying to hold off like a Bengals comeback because we were in control for most of the game. But it's still Joe Burrow. It's still Jamar Chase. It's still the Bengals offense. You saw what they did against the Chargers. It's them still fighting, but it's like, all right, no, we got this. We got this. It's either that or the other one where we're the ones coming back and we end up closing the door. We shut the door on the game. Russ closes it out in dramatic fashion, dramatic comeback fashion. Either way, 31-28. That's my final score prediction. But shout out to everyone for stopping through. Shout out to the Steelers. Let's get this dub, man. Let's get back on track because if we lose this, I'm not liking it. That's 2. You're starting to make things a trend. And that's not a good look for our first appearance on Hard Knocks. Hard Knocks is going to be dropping December 3rd. And I'm sure they're going to include clips. They're going to include footage, content from the Browns game and then probably this Bengals game. Let's make a good first impression on Hard Knocks on HBO. But all right. I'm out of here. Stay chilling, everyone. Peace.